Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums. I'm still dealing with this cold that is refusing to leave me. So I'm going to apologize if I do sound a little bit raspy and a little bit sick or congested, because I am. I want to say thank you so much for joining me for another video where I'm going to kind of talk about my practice. Now, I really wasn't sure how to kind of put this together, as I didn't really want to show the altars that I actively have going on. If you've looked on my Instagram, I'm sure you've seen pictures of them. Pretty similar kind of energy at the current moment. So there's not anything special about what I'm doing. But I did want to kind of talk about how I utilize certain decks for certain deities to kind of connect a little bit more to their energies. And what that means for my personal practice with those deities. So I guess I'm going to call this my Show Me How You Practice video, deity work and altar work, because I do utilize active altars for a lot of the deities that I have, connections with. So I like to work with what is called the chthonic deities. So this is going to be death deities. This is going to be, the dark goddesses, so to speak. I do really like to do more goddess veneration, if that makes sense, more so than working with specific gods. It's not that I have anything against working with specific gods. It's just I've not been called to do so, except for specific workings or things like that. Now, I don't know if I had mentioned in one of my other videos about making altars for specific purposes. So that is something that I have done in the past and something that I like to kind of include as I can. I forgot to add a couple of these decks. I'm just going to kind of add some other decks that I like to kind of connect to. And you'll see that some of these decks are decks that I talked about in my Decks That I Love series for altar work. And I think it's beneficial to do things with a lot of intention. So I may not go fully into everything that I use for every specific type of altar that I've set up in the past. I've done, healing altars. I've done altars for manifestation and abundance. I've done altars for a very specific purpose, like if I'm, wanting to get a job or, things of that nature. So whatever I feel like drawn to do for a specific situation or for different circumstances, that's what I'll focus on. But the altars that I typically have up are going to be for my Santa Muerte altar. I always have that one ready, and it's one that's constant in my house, no matter where I've lived. And it is something that I have actively, done a lot for, and that I am constantly refreshing and cleansing and adding new things to, and, kind of bringing her gifts. And the two decks that I like to use for her specifically are going to be this like Santa Muerte deck that I bought on Amazon, I believe. And it's supposed to be kind of like a playing card, or maybe even like the Baraja Española deck, but it has kind of the meanings of the cards. They are in English and in Spanish, so that is always good if that is something that, you can connect to in both ways. And so this deck is one that every morning, when I wake up, I try to wake up before anybody else in my home. And I like to take some time out to kind of connect with my altars. So I use this one and I pull a card every day, just kind of connect and be like, what's the energy of today? And I use this as a means of understanding what I need to focus on, what lessons is she bringing to me, what sort of energies will be present throughout my day. And so it is kind of my way of allowing her to give me something to think about, something to focus on. And while I don't do a daily journaling practice on it, I do like to kind of come back and reflect on whatever it was that maybe I was warned about or talked about, and trying to kind of focus on like, okay, what do I need to improve? What is it that I need to recognize within myself? What is it that maybe I haven't really shifted and changed? at this current moment that maybe she would like for me to focus on. So it's a nice way of me spending a little bit of time in my spiritual practice in the morning before I kind of start my day. Another thing that I like to do is also pull from the Santa Muerte Oracle deck. My deck looks kind of busted. It's been well loved and well used. So this is the Santa Muerte Oracle by Fabio Listrani. Again, my deck is jacked up. It's gotten wet. It's gotten a lot of use over the last several years. So it's not in the best condition. And so I like to pull an oracle card and then also one of these cards to kind of see what the energy will be for myself and kind of focus on those lessons. And usually the messages go hand in hand. Whether it's, having to understand that there's certain things I need to be aware of or certain things that I need to be mindful of as I kind of go throughout my day, or maybe my own energies or things that maybe I need to focus on and really be, intentional about where I am putting a lot of my energy. So that's kind of how I use these two decks for my Santa Muerte altar. And I really do enjoy using these two because I think that they both cover different areas of life while also giving me very practical advice and what I can focus on. Now, other decks that I like to kind of use sparingly because I don't actively take them out every day because I feel like it's more of I don't even know how to explain it. It's just more of when I'm feeling very lost or feeling very like it's challenging for me to connect to the energy, then I'll use these two decks to kind of connect to Hecate. So I also have a Hecatian altar in my home. It's one that it's always up year round. I have different offerings, things like that. I pray typically in the evening to my Hecate altar. And just, take some time out to kind of connect if I'm ever around crossroads, things like that. I do take some time out to just kind of connect and thank her for her blessings, things of that nature. So those are the two ways that I like to kind of incorporate altar work, I guess, so to speak, and deity work into my practice. Now, since, again, sometimes it's hard to understand what the messages may be, I like to kind of use decks that have very vivid, earthy, bony kind of energy, things like that have a lot of that kind of, I don't want to say just death energy, even though she is associated with that too. I do like to have these kind of darker energies that have bones and are kind of earthy. And I also love focusing on witchy decks when connecting with her energy or trying to kind of receive her, message. Now, this may also be a good one for me to connect with Santa Muerte. Again, sometimes people are like, these energies are so similar. How do you know? I just feel like they have very different energies. And so I feel like this is a good one whenever I'm feeling a little bit confused about what's going on or how I can kind of connect a little bit more to that energy. And then I also love this Dark Magic Oracle for, kind of connecting to Hecate's energy as well. And I also have hold on, I'll grab it real fast. The Making Magic Oracle as well by Priestess Moon to kind of help me connect a little bit more. And it's not just because they're black and dark or whatever. I just feel like her being the queen of witches, it can kind of help me connect a little bit more to some of those witchy things and that witch wound and things like that. So it's nice to have something that allows me to kind of see what she wants me to focus on, especially when I'm trying to do some intentional workings or, trying to manifest something with her guidance. So that's kind of how I use these two decks or these three decks to kind of connect a little bit more. I don't have a specific tarot deck that I connect with for her. I haven't found one yet. I'm still looking for the right one, but I will usually just use whatever deck I'm using at the moment. So for me right now, I really love the Halloween tarot. That's just kind of what I've been using. for my own kind of magical workings and to kind of connect a little bit more to those energies. And again, if you've watched my other videos, you'll have seen this deck, but this is a good one too for magic, just because it has sigils and things like that. So I do like kind of using this as well to kind of see what maybe I need to do on my end and what ways can I connect with her altar a little bit more and, kind of incorporate some more of that energy into my current practice and what that will look like moving forward. And then, because I like balance, I also work with the Virgin Mary or Mother Mary. She's probably the first deity I've ever worked with. Since a young child, I always had a deep connection with her. I was raised Roman Catholic, very strict Hispanic household. And I always was super connected to her energy. I know that she's kind of a patron saint in my culture, so I'm not saying that I'm unique in that. But it's one of these things where I've had this deck for many, many years, and this is kind of how I connect a little bit more to Mother Mary or La Virgen de Guadalupe is more of like what I like to connect to. I don't have a specific altar for her, but I do have a space in my home with statues for her, candles for her. I take time out to connect to her energy and to kind of utilize her to be able to be more compassionate, to be more loving, to be more forgiving, to kind of use the lessons of her lifetime to help me be a better, person in this world. Because again, it's balance, right? And to me, it's very much the representation of, she's the birth giver. And then I also work with Santa Muerte, which is the life taker. So I think it's very much this just bringing things into balance and kind of utilizing both of these beautiful energies. And if you've ever seen some of the imagery of La Virgen de Guadalupe and Santa Muerte, there's a lot of similarities. And I think it's just, again, something that brings me a lot of balance. So I like to kind of pull a card here and there, just to kind of see where maybe I need to kind of focus on certain aspects of my life, especially if I'm feeling a little bit directionless, or feeling a little bit lost. I love her energy. I feel like it's very soothing and comforting and like reassures me whenever I'm feeling a little bit lost and confused in my life. And finally, last but not least, is I also have an altar for Aphrodite, as I am a Taurus and I have a lot of, that Venusian influence in my natal chart. So I had to have an altar to Venus herself, for Aphrodite. And I like to use decks that are very beautiful for her. So this is one of the more beautiful decks that I have, with the gold and the watercolors, and the imagery is just really beautiful. So this is what I use to kind of focus on my Venusian working. So if I'm trying to kind of call on her for guidance, for assistance in Venusian ruled things, which that would be like money, value, relationships, connections, things of that nature, beauty rituals or whatever. I'm not one that does glamour magic, even though I know a lot of people do use her for glamour magic. And I think it's great, those that do. But just kind of connecting a little bit more and kind of receiving her messages, as I do have an active altar at all times in my home. Again, it's just something that feels like it was necessary and needed in my home, as we all have major Venus influence in our astrological charts here in my home. So it was something that I was like, oh, we have to kind of have something for her and kind of bless her up and respect her in our own lives as well, and let her know that she's welcomed in our home and keeping us safe with things. So this is the deck that I like to use for her. Now, sometimes I'll look up, specific spreads or whatever, but usually when I'm doing things, it's just very much intuitive. It's more of just, I focus on whatever I feel like I need clarity on, and I kind of go from there. I don't really try to do anything too crazy or try to make it more complicated than what it is. And that's kind of how I use different decks to practice and to use, within my deity work, my altar work. Are there specific decks that you like to use for your like deities? Do you use, do you venerate deities in your home? Is that something that you've been drawn to? Is there a specific deity that you like to use? Like I said, there's some that I kind of use for intentional workings and things like that. And I'll put up an altar, kind of connect to their energy and kind of let it be what it needs to be. And then once the working is done, I just kind of take everything down. It's not that, I feel like I have to be super committed to something for the rest of my life. But these are the ones that I truly commit to and have been, committed as a devotee in so many different ways and so many different aspects of my life. And as well as, really ensuring that no matter where I've lived and what's been going on in my life, I do have a space for them in my home. So I hope that this kind of helps those that are maybe wondering how you do start an altar or how you can utilize your cards to kind of connect. And again, you don't have to have a bunch of different decks. This is just something that I really truly enjoy. I've been doing this for over 25 years. So for me, it's been a natural transition to kind of utilize different decks for different things, but you don't have to do it this way. You don't have to have a specific deck that has your deity or whatever on there for it to be a connected deck for you. So don't feel that way at all. That's not my intention with this. This is just me kind of showing you what I do in my practice and how I utilize different decks and their energies to kind of connect to different deities and to just connect in a way that feels like I am receiving a message specifically from those deities, especially when I'm doing, a working or have an intentional altar set up for them. So I hope that this helps you understand how I do my practice. And I hope that it allows you to feel a little bit more inspired to do your own thing. I want to say thank you so much for joining me. Please have a good one. Take care, stay safe, and as always, make good choices. Bye.